Man, this is tiny. Hello! Oh, wow. Let's open it. Hi and welcome to the channel. I am Richard Genders and you are watching Genders Gaming. This is a channel dedicated to the love of small little plastic and wooden pieces running around on a table. It's a weird little world, but we love it, right? And I want to thank you for taking the time to coming into my channel. That's quite an honor, right? Why did you come in here at all? Please tell me in the comments, why are you here? How did you find me? Or if you just want to say hi, well, do that as well. Today, I am going to show you a small, cool little game. I'm going to show you 2182. And this is, as you can see, a pretty damn small little box. I mean, you could have this in your little pocket and wear it anywhere you would like to go. I quite enjoy this little size here. This is a 1 to 4 player game. That's right, you can play this solo as well. And it's quite amazing how much you can fit in this small little box, which I will show you on the table soon. This game is from 8 years and above. It's 20 to 30 minutes per game, depending on how many players you are, of course. I'm going to show you how to play this game, I'm going to show you the setup of this game, and I'm going to give you an overview of what the game is actually about. So, sit down, take place, and follow along. This is the setup of the gaming area, and at the start of the game, each player selects a character at random as they will portray as. They also need to take a player color of their choice and put their health tracker at 20 on their character card. They also take a little cube matching their player color. We also deal out one magic monkey wrench to each player from the power cards, looking like this, but also one random power card to each player. All the remaining power cards should be shuffled and placed nearby the playing area. Then each player takes turn selecting one weapon token of their choice and place it in front of their player area. We keep on drafting weapon tokens until we all have 4 tokens on our hand. The rest of the tokens goes back on the table next to their weapon card. We need to shuffle the event deck looking like this and place it nearby the player area. We need to search through the road tiles looking like this and find the start tile. This should be placed faced up in the player area. The boss monster tile looking like this and having 3 H's on it should not be mixed in with the other road tiles. This one needs to be placed next to the playing area until the end of the game. The rest of the road tiles needs to be shuffled and placed next to the start tile. We need to take out the double-sided boss card and put it with the mini bosses faces up, and taking one see-through cube and put it on their highest health track on each of the 3 bosses. Then we take out the D4 roll cards and place them face down. The player that was most recently in a vehicle starts the game. This game plays out in the future of the year 2182. The world has been taken over by an alien serpent race called the Zillians. And the leader, the Twisted Folk, is sitting on top of a mountain and pretty much sets out the gaming area. He have turned in the world to a giant death race. And you and your friends will battle and also help each other to try to take him out. But he's not alone. He has sent out his small minions. They're not that small, they're quite big actually. Called the OMG Zillas, also a serpent creatures trying to come in your way to stop you from stopping them. And now it's up to you to use the weapons that you have, to use your vehicles, to drive through this crazy death race and try to reach the leader. But before you can get to him, you need to take out his evil serpent minions. This game is played out by players taking turns, and during your turn there are some actions that you can do. But if you land on some tiles, there are also some things that will happen. But let me show you. Several times during this game you need to draw a D4 card. These cards determine damage, depending on if you're doing a drive-by, if you use weapon tokens, and so on. Every time before you draw one of these cards, you need to shuffle them and then draw. Now, I am probably going to forget to tell you that, so just try to keep that in mind. So it's the first player's turn. Now, all the players start at the start tile, and we have all placed our little cubes on this tile. Now, the first player draws the top D4 roll card. On the D4 roll card, you will find a number. This number represents how many roll tiles you should place out. You can also see some text down here, but this is merely some text that will help you remember what the different tiles does. I drew number 3, meaning that I should draw 3 tiles from the face down road tile deck and place it out in front of the starting tile. Now, I can twist and turn the roads any way I would like to, but it needs to be connected in a logical way. Meaning that if the roads do not connect in a logic way, in a way that actually just makes sense, well, then you can't put it down that way. But other than that, you can put it down pretty much any way you would like to, building out the little road net. When you have placed out the tiles on the table, you get to move your little player cube, and you get to move it the same amount of steps as tiles that you have just placed out. But you do not need to follow the road that you have just placed out. You can go forward, you can go backwards, and if you can also turn. But when you go from the starting tile, well, there's really just one road for you to choose, and that's the one you have just placed out. When you have moved your little cube here out on the roads, you can do some more actions. You could, for example, choose to use your weapon token. Now, this is an optional action and you do not need to do it now. You can save this for later. But if you choose to use these tokens, we can see here that there are 4 different types of weapons, all giving you different abilities on your road to, well, victory, hopefully. We have the gunfire, for example, that will let you shoot your fellow players. We have the smoke bombs that will let you prevent other enemies' attacks on you, but also let you get the first strike on the bosses. We have the landmine, which will, of course, cause damage to the other players, but you can only place that one on the tiles that you have just driven through, which makes a lot of sense, right? And then we have the fire drop, which also deals damage to players that drives through the fire that you have just placed out. Also, this needs, of course, to be placed out on the tiles that you have just driven through. During your turn, you could also choose to play power cards. And just like the weapon tokens here, these will give you different sorts of abilities. These will deal damage to the bosses, these will deal damage to the other players, or sabotage their equipment so they can't use them, or even heal yourself. So these cards are quite important, and you will need to get some healing every now and then. But if you feel like the power cards that you have on your hand right now just doesn't help you, then you can actually exchange them instead of using them. You simply do this by putting it face up next to the power cards, now creating a discard pile, and then you simply draw the top one from the deck. The next player that does this can actually choose to take the face-up cards instead of the face-down cards. If this pile ever ends, you simply shuffle them up again, and then you restart the deck. That was the player's actions, but as we can see, there are a few other tiles out on the board. So what do they mean? Let's start with the hazard tile. If you end your movement on a hazard tile, it doesn't need to be all bad, but it probably is, because you need to draw a D4 card. And depending on which number you get here, you will probably take damage. If you draw a number 1, you get 1 damage. If you draw a number 2, you get 2 damage. If you draw a number 3, it is actually a success but you still get 1 damage. If you draw a number 4, it's also counted as a success, and you do not take any damage. So, well, there's good odds. You can see which type of damage the different tiles, weapons or attacks does by looking at the bottom of the D4 card. If you end your movement on a sub-boss card, you are now in a fight with this boss, and you can't move off this tile before you have defeated it. Now, 2 players or more can be on this tile at the same time, fighting together. When you end up on a boss card, they always get the first strike, meaning that they will deal 3 damage. If you do not have any special equipment. For example, the smoke bomb will let you get the first strike. But once you have calculated the first damage, you need to draw a D4 roll card to see how much damage that you deal. You can also play your little weapon tokens or any power cards that might help you. Besides the weapon drops and the power cards, all of the different characters also have their special abilities stated on the cards. These can make them immune to different weapons, it can give them extra movements. These are really versatile and give the game a lot of different ways for the different players to actually achieve their goals. If you manage to take out one of these nasty bosses, you get 1 weapon drop and a power card. But if you witness one of your fellow players taking out one of these bosses on the same tile as you get to choose either a weapon drop or a power card. Just remember that you need to be on the same boss tile as the player doing this nasty job. But it's not just the monsters we're fighting in this game, we're also fighting each other. So when a player ends up on the same tile as an opponent, we end up in a battle it out sequence. Meaning again that we draw a D4 roll card to see how much damage we do. When we're on the same tile, we can actually not use the power cards or any weapon tokens. Now, you think, what? You said that you could use the weapon tokens against the other players. Well, you can, but to use these ones, you need to be 1 or 2 tiles away from your opponent. But before you attack your opponent, you should know that they will also get a chance to counterattack back. Again, shuffle the D4 cards and draw 1 to see how much damage they will do. So when you draw these cards, you will make damage, right? Well, almost, but not quite. Because if you draw the number 1, you will do 1 damage. If you draw number 2, you will do 2 damage. And if you draw number 3, you will do 3 damage. But if you draw number 4, you make 0 damage. So what, there's no drive-bys in this game? Yeah, there are. Every time you drive past an opponent's tile, you get to draw a D4 card. And depending on what you get to do that damage. Again, 1 is 1 damage, 2 is 2 damage, 3 is 3 damage, but the good old number 4 here is 0 damage. If there are more than 1 opponent on the tile, either in a battle it out scenario or a drive-by scenario, the player attacking get to choose who they are attacking. And that can make the game night quite interesting. If you land on or drive through a fire tile, you will take 2 damage. But if you land on this mark right here with the 82, you get to draw an event card and do whatever it says in the bottom part of the card. When a player's health reaches 0, this player's car will explode. And any other player or boss on the same tile where this happens will also take 1 damage. When you have defeated all of the 3 other sub-bosses, you can finally go in and try to take a shot at the final boss. But you can first enter his tile when all of the other sub-bosses are gone. When you land on the final boss, the fight goes on just like it would have been on a sub-boss. And when the final boss is dead, everyone is happy and we go home cheering, right? Well, no, because now a saber chopper comes. but it only has room for one player, which means that the players that are left need to fight it out for that spot. The first player that ended up on the final boss tile will always get the first strike on the second player. The third or fourth player to land here needs to choose a target who they want to attack, but the target player will always get the first strike. If there is 3 or more players on the final boss tile after the boss is dead, then the players need to choose who they want to attack. And then the turn order simply just continues as normal until the last man or woman is standing and gets to ride the little chopper and fly away. Now on this fight here, we are actually allowed to use weapons, but also the power cards. But this is the only time we are allowed to use it when we're on the same tile together. It's only when the final boss is dead and we're fighting it out. When a player defeats another player in this final battle, we also get to draw weapons or power cards to use against our, well, friendly little neighbors. And that's how you play the game. It is quite simple rules. Once you have gone one round, well, you are in the game and you are ready to take on the monsters, but also the other players. You simply do the little turns, you pick up the little cards, and then you drive around trying to survive and smash everything that comes in your way. And this game is quite easy to learn, but it is a lot of fun and quite chaotic. I mean, you really have no allies out here on the field. And the final thing here, when there's only one player standing, really motivates you to damage your fellow players along the road to success. And I think it's quite brilliant. Otherwise, this would have been a co-op game, but since there's only one spot on the chopper, well, you want to damage them just a little bit. And it really gets the game night going. This is a fast and quick, easy setup. It's a fast game, easy to learn. You can easily take this with you pretty much anywhere. I mean, look at the size of this box. It's so small. You can have it in a pocket, basically. You can have this on the beach, in a cafe, I don't know, anywhere. You can set it up quite fast, put it down and move away from the table and continue your night. This game was quite fun. There is some strategy in here, but it's really about you going out and just doing mean stuff to everything that comes in your way. What I have showed you today is the basic game, the way it comes straight out of this little box. But there are actually some add-ons you can get. You can, for example, change the D4 cards for D4 dice instead. In this way, each player will get their own little die and they can roll that one instead of drawing a card. But another cool thing is these small little cars here. These can be used instead of the player cubes that I showed you before. These would, of course, need to be painted in the player colors. Otherwise, it's quite hard to understand which card belongs to which player. But this is a quick and cool, easy way to really max up this game. The artwork in this game is quite cool and quite light. It never gets too dark, it never gets too serious, so even the younger players can have a good time watching all of these different portraits, but also the different artworks of the weapons and different tiles. There you have it, my friend. That was Escape Deathrace 2182 Micro for you. A fun, cool, small little game that you can just fit in your pocket and bring anywhere. It's a really fast setup, as I told you. It's a really fast gameplay. It says from 8 years on the box, and yes, I do agree with that. I think that kids can play this. They can have a fun time moving the little tokens around, moving the little cubes and monsters, flipping the cards, building up the roads. It's a fun, fast, easy game for the whole family. And it's also a good way for you to just crack up a good game night and get the night going. If you want to know more about this game, there will be links down in the description, so check that out if you want to. If you like my video, people, please give it a thumbs up, throw in a comment for me. I am so happy that you wanted to join me here, so why not communicate with me, right? We can exchange some experience with games and everything. Tell me what you thought about the game, tell me what you thought about the video. I'm open for criticism. How else can I get better? And until next time, people, please do not forget to keep on spreading that board gaming love I know you all have. Peace.